Dashboard's original, except for the gauges, steering wheel, all that stuff, the roll bar. Floor pans are patched. There's still like a fold, and you can't see it because the console's over and stuff. There's a fold in the transmission tunnel that's still there. If you crawl underneath it, you can still see where the subframes hit the ground. They're flattened still.
That's awesome.
If we had it on a lift, you could see the engine leans to the left. I'll show you some of the car.
That's cool.
This is all original shit. Right here, it was so impacted that they had to cut a V out of it to try to pull it back into shape and weld in a V patch. It was that damaged.
Yeah.
The first time I ever saw this car, let's walk over here.
Sure.
Body height, is this right? This stood an inch higher here. The engine bay, the engine block is the original one from the car. We had to put different heads on it. We had to rebuild it with some old
Was the block in it?
Block was in it.
Was the transmission in it?
Yeah, and the transmission's the original too. It's still the blue-green color from the 71 car phase. There's chunks taken out of the metal from when it hit the ground. You can see it under there. The rear end, the housing is different because it meant the gears are the originals.
Did it have the rear end in it?
Yeah.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah, all that stuff was still in it. It still has the original drive shaft in it.
That's incredible. So the copper, you guys repainted it copper, right?
Yeah, that was the original color.
Yep.
And then it was like this before they painted it the 71 car phase. They didn't paint the inside of the engine bay because it was a second unit car. They didn't care. They only did that to cars that was going to be close-up cars.
Okay.
So we replicated that. You could see before, if you went through it, it was that blue-green color and then the gold right underneath, no orange. So we replicated that. This was the original color of the car. Then we painted the whole car this color because this is cheap single-stage lacquer. You're looking through the orange a little bit. You're seeing a little bit of the base color. So to get the color right, you have to have that as your base.
Or does it work?
So it was worth it. Had to do it.
So here, all General Lee people go crazy. They want to know what color the General Lee is. What color is this General Lee?
It is not a color code. It is in the family of Corvette Flame Red, but there's a little bit more red. And if you break down the formula, there's a little more black in it. The way they used to color mixed paint back then was not with computers. They did it with pigment dispensers. And they dispensed whatever amount needed to be done or whatever, and then they would mix it by eye, fine-tune it by eye.
Yeah.
This has more red and black in it than 1975 Corvette Flame Red.
Okay. Were General Lee's supposed to be flame red?
Yeah, that's what they were later. That's what Don made it. And when Don started, because these were not built in Georgia, they were built for Georgia and California. When they got down there, they hired a whole new crew to build and maintain General Lee's. When they had to maintain these, they noticed that the color was off from the chip. When they would do a touch-up on it, it was obvious it wasn't the same color. So they started repainting all the cars in 1975 Corvette Flame Red.
Okay.
And then they were that afterwards.
For the whole TV show?
Pretty much.
How about the movie cars? Are they different?
Yes, they are V2 orange, Hemi orange, the factory color.
That's incredible. Look, can we take a look inside here?
Yeah. Inside here, parts of the cage are original. This was the original one of this was hacked out. The original vertical bar roof was hacked out and put into the builder's son's car, his replica. These are the originals. We sandblast them, smooth them all in to match the new and paint everything because they were rusting anyway. That's original there that you're looking at.
Back seat, underfloor.
Yep.
Yeah.
There's patches here, but you can't see it because there's carpet in the way. The dash frame, but like the pads and the bezels and all that stuff are they're reproduction. Some of the stuff that was even left that wasn't even usable anymore got destroyed by weather and all that. And then we salvaged what we could, but the metal frame and all of its paint, the steering column, which we rebuilt the steering column. Didn't realize this at the time. We restored the entire car, and then we're trying to steer it. It's not steering right. We didn't know what the hell was going on. Like the first year they came out with the collapsible steering columns for safety.
Oh, and it was collapsed?
And it was collapsed from the jump.
Yeah. You want to talk about the flag?
What do you want
Flag
to know
and the letters.
The 71 car phase, they painted the whole thing blue-green. we sanded the roof, and it was all underneath it. We were able to replicate everything. We made a full life-size tracing template of the entire roof. That way, we were able to reproduce it. And this was what we discovered this as well. We found along the whole flag, they painted it where these were half this thick. All these white bars were half this thickness originally.
Okay.
Then they went back and said, fatten it up. It doesn't look right. Okay. Fatten it all up, and that became the standard for every General Lee afterwards.
Well, this is all hand painted. I mean, you
all
can
hand
see it.
painted.
Yeah, every bit of it.
And then this, and then the door numbers were vinyl.
And that's how they were on the original cars?
They were on the original show. It was a crappy vinyl. If you watch the show, you could see them peeling off sometimes. So that was all done. And they only did that on the first, like 4 General Lees were painted. Then they went to decals.
Here's a question for you. Why is this trim here? Were General Lees ever vinyl roof cars?
One feature we did not replicate on this car as it was back in 1978. Warner Brothers had a budget. They didn't know what car they were going to build yet. They knew they wanted a General Lee, but they didn't know what the car was going to be yet. So they said, we got to go through this process of finding a car. The guy has an idea to use a Charger, but he's got a budget. It's not an open checkbook to make as many cars as you want. So he went out and he found the cheapest 1969 Dodge Charger he could find. This car was wrecked right here, and somebody changed the quarter panel. This was a vinyl top car.
Yeah.
They cut because they had the vinyl top, they cut the seam right here instead of up here at the factory location.
Yeah.
They cut it under here and then screwed the quarter panel on and put Bondo over it.
Holy crap.
And then had the vinyl top on it. When the Dukes guys got it and had to build a car, they pulled this trim off. There's a hacked-in seam there. They didn't want to mess with that. They just painted it up and left the trim on it.
I see. So this did start as a vinyl top car?
Yeah. Most of them were. So, but this came up with a lot of things that was really important for the first cars. The car got hit here, okay?
Yeah.
Wheel well trim got destroyed, and the gas cap trim got destroyed. The guy was a broke guy. He lived in the ghetto in Los Angeles. He couldn't afford to buy all these parts. So they took off all the wheel well trim to make it, he did that. When they painted it all up, they left it off, and then when they made the other cars, they took off the wheel well trim, they took off the gas cap trim ring, and they left the vinyl top trim on. So then after a few episodes, and they started making a lot of cars, they started leaving this on, but the General Lee on the show always retained the vinyl top trim.
That's right.
And it started because of this car.
How about the rocker trim? Because this is another special thing to this car, right?
Right. They left it on because there was another hacked-in seam down there, and they didn't want to deal with it. But the other cars didn't have it, so they said, we'll just leave it, get rid of that one first, and then the other ones, we'll just keep on making them, nobody will even notice it.
Do you know why it has a push bar?
I don't know the official reason. It was kind of, they wanted to have that kind of 70s custom look that was big at the time.
Okay.
That's why it has these wheels. That was really popular with the 70s customizers. And the push bar was popular on trucks at the time, and little pickups and other trucks, and even like Subarus, like little Subarus and stuff. It was probably because of that.
I mean, what you're telling me, and it's quite true. This is the template for every General Lee ever. They all started here.
We all started with this car.
Yeah. So are you taking care of this car?
I did. I actually had this car in my possession for the first year it was restored. And then afterwards, I've always maintained, I have an informational database of all the stuff about this car. Pictures, restoration photos, some of the nitty-gritty stuff. I still maintain all that. But otherwise, this is the first time I've seen it since we did Power Block, which was 2007.
Okay.
It was good to see it again.
So are you going to be sad?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah, kind of, but it's also moving on, a new chapter. Move on, do something else. It was cool. This was the car I loved when I was a little kid, and I got to help rebuild it, but all things come to an end, and hopefully somebody else enjoys it, If I had the money, I'd be buying it.
Sure. Absolutely.